No, we do not.
Beautiful. Moving on to approval of prior minutes, June 16, 2025. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Oh, you
Either one.
Woody, second?
second.
All in favor? Aye, unanimous. Old business, moving on to new business. Architects report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Relatively brief update for this meeting as we have completed our punch list and basically have completed the inspection work of the project. We're going through closeout documents, assisting Gilbane and Colliers as things come up, and also starting the FF&E and playground installation process at the school. So the team's been on site frequently over the last couple weeks, and we'll continue to do so as these remaining items get installed and basically close out the project. There are a few ATPs that are on your agenda this evening. We'll be able to answer any questions as they come up. But other than that, like I said, relatively modest update for this evening.
Great. I appreciate the brevity, Justin. Moving on to CM report. Zach, are you up?
Yep. Good evening, everybody. All doing well. Enjoyed the 4th of July. Relatively short update from our end as well. Final inspections were completed last week with the building department and the fire department, including the final testing that we completed for the replacement solenoid valves we had out in the fill vault. So that and the fire pump have successfully passed all of their testing, and we have those reports in hand. I was told from Vinny Garofalo from the building department that he signed off on our final CO letter last week as well. So that is just going and circulating through the rest of the office, making its way through the fire department for Sam, and then also P&Z to get final signatures for CO. So a massive milestone to have accomplished that at this point. Punch list activities, as Justin mentioned, Tecton's all set with their list along with their consultants. So we're going through both the exterior and interior, cleaning up those punch list items and getting them closed out. The balance of seating in the sod that has been getting delayed due to weather and a few other events is supposed to occur this week. So we're hoping to have, weather permitting, the sod and the balance of seating done by end of day Friday. Project closeout is ongoing. We're collecting all the O&Ms, as-built, test reports, and now warranties that will have a substantial completion date in hand that we can give out to the subs. And then lastly, just assisting Tecton and Colliers with the furniture and FF&E vendors as they're completing their moves. They started this past June and they're ongoing throughout the month of July. So that is the update. And Nick, do you have anything else you wanted to add to that or no?
I do not know. Thank you, Zach.
Did I hear you had a visitor from the Board of Selectmen today? Is that did
Yes.
Peggy take the tour?
Yep. She stopped by with Peter this afternoon. I know Peter probably gave her a great tour and told her all the ins and outs of the building. But yeah, we were able to see her this afternoon.
I heard she wanted to repaint some of the room colors. Is that true, Peter?
New news to me, Peter.
I'm sorry, there was a lot of background noise here, and I didn't hear what you said.
I said I heard Peggy wanted to repaint some of the walls, but that's,
no, that's not happening. Yeah.
Herb Newman did that once on a CO tour. I don't know if you even know Herb Newman. He walked into a building, one of his buildings, said these are not Herb Newman colors, and made them repaint 20
Oh my gosh.
That's when architects could be prima donnas, I guess.
Yeah.
Got it. Moving on. You all set with CM? Moving on to Adam.
Good evening, everyone. So again, same as with Tecton and Gilbane, Collier's key focus has been on anything to support certificate of occupancy and substantial completion, since that's the number one priority in terms of the building completion overall. What will happen over this week is, as Justin mentioned, he's working on punch list items, so that needs to be formalized, codified, dollar values assigned to open remaining items. And then that plus the certificate of occupancy and a couple other documents will form the basis of the substantial completion date, which would start the town's occupancy and ownership of the project, and also critically will start the duration on the 1-year warranty period. Obviously, different products might have a 30-year warranty for the roof through the manufacturer or something to that effect. But in terms of material workmanship, all those types of items that are outside the manufacturer's warranty, that 1-year period would start with substantial completion. So it's the milestone, if you will, and so insofar as the building is concerned. So that's why there's such a heavy emphasis on it this week to get that buttoned up. As Justin alluded to, heavy activity right now with the move and furniture activities. Colliers is on site along with Tecton, helping to coordinate those components. Sometimes just gets into the nitty gritty of, you got to hold off on putting stuff in this room for a couple hours, or you have to shift things around in this room to facilitate some other work going on. So it's that sort of room by room exercise to make sure that the items get into the building and nobody's stepping on each other's toes. So actively ongoing, but no real major issues with that so far has been reported between myself and other Colliers staff in the field and Tecton. So seems to be progressing, but that'll continue for the next couple weeks as the various vendors come in to move existing components and to provide the new furniture as it comes in. In terms of some of the other items that we approved as part of the FF&E, IV, and IT packages, the bulk of the audio-visual components like the Promethean boards and phones, those will be slated for a little later on this month. But the general time frame is that all of those major efforts would be completed by the end of the month. And that way, if there's any straggler items, there's one chair is back ordered, or there's a desk came with a scratch on it, it allows for the month of August for those items to filter in. So that way we're nowhere in a good spot by the time we get to the end of July, well in advance of the start of the school year. Otherwise, the playground work has started in terms of some of the layout, but that needs to continue over the next couple of weeks in terms of additional layout and actually starting placing footings. The playground equipment itself is on site, ready to be installed. It's just a matter of the contractor coming out and starting the physical work at the areas prepared within the site plan. So both Colliers and Tecton are coordinating that item as well to make sure that's progressing. There's a host of ATPs on the docket tonight. As we are wrapping up the project, I've kind of mentioned this before, there will be additional cleanup change orders that take place, but working with Gilbane and Tecton to get those ironed up, and we'll keep putting them in front of you. But the changes should be more or less complete within a major standpoint now, and now it's just a documentation exercise of some of the items that did get adjusted, or some of the last mile requests as they come in. So hopefully looking to taper that down so we can get this largely closed out from a financial standpoint over the ensuing months. There will, people, as soon as the building opens, there's always a question of, how much longer do we have until we're done with the project? There will continue to be invoices for, a year after the building is open, just because we have commissioning and we have some of the other vendors that have work that extend beyond the official substantial completion date. But the notion is that it continues to taper off as we go into 2025 and into 2026. So generally, as anyone that's visited the building, still looks great. Everyone seems to be happy with the product, and we're just moving along towards the end here. So happy to answer any questions before we get into procurement and invoices.
I have a question, or actually, we talked about having conduits run for the PV to the MDP and for control purposes. Is that conduit in place? Those conduits in place?
It should be yes. I haven't been on the roof in a while, so Zach, can you confirm those are in place?
Maybe Zach can do it.
Yeah.
I'd actually like to see the MDP and where those terminate, just to get an idea, because being able to offer that to a prospective vendor who's going to do that system, if we do it, could save a lot of money. So I kind of want to understand what the product looks like and where where we ran things. I mean, I know Craig is fabulous, and so I'm not questioning it. I just thought it'd be good if somebody on the committee had an idea for people, to be able to ask questions about.
Yeah, we still have our electrician on site, so when he's back out tomorrow, I'll confirm with him where specifically up on the roof it's actually located, just so we can trace it back and have an idea. So whoever comes up.
Right. Yeah, it should go from the roof to the MDP for sure. I would imagine that's where Craig put it. If there's a print you've got, I'd love to see that. Might make it easier for all of us, just to verify that, because I think that will save a lot of money.
Yeah, we can send that afterwards. It's definitely in the plans. It's I just don't recall exactly which room it goes to. So yeah, we'll send that after the meeting. No problem.
Terrific. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, I'm sure everyone was following the BBB, put some tight timelines on solar, so we may need to accelerate our approach, as Woody is referring to. Is we're talking about briefly before the meeting, so we're kind of scrambling to see what it's basically got to be started construct. You've got to be underway by a year from July 4th, so that puts us, July 3rd, 2026. So to be started and done by the end of 2027. So we're under a fairly tighter time frame to get that done, but it's in the works to make that happen. So as I committed to Woody when he joined the committee, I'd get him a net zero building one way or the other. So I know he didn't quite work out on the library. He only got mostly to the net zero and sometime, but moving on to, if there's no other questions for Adam, moving on to review and potential procurement items, number 6 and number 5.
Let me share my screen here, per usual. Okay. So first item is just for reference. There's no vote needed on this tonight because it was approved on an expedited basis based on the timeline of events occurring in the field. We have a change that was issued for an estimated value of less than $10,000 for additional pavement work at Green Hill Road. This is similar to what occurred over on Mungertown Road. This is similar to the work that occurred over on Green Hill Road, if you recall, a while back, where there's contract scope owned some milling and paving, but to restore the full width of the lane required a bit more. So rather than have a piecemeal replacement of the asphalt there, the additional, I believe it was $8,100 was approved to proceed with the actual addition of the work. So again, no vote needed tonight because that was approved by Peter and George outside of the meeting because the paving work was about to be ongoing. All right, the first item up for review and vote is ATP 107. This is actually a credit for $6,300 or $6,373. There was some UPSs that were within, UPSs are the battery backups for the IT systems that were within the subcontractor scope under Gilbane. However, there was additional UPSs specified by the town as part of the FF&E package. So those were the town's ones were purchased, and these were returned for a credit through the contractor. ATP 121 is for $33.27. This is a request from the principal, Becky Frost, in coordination with Dr. Cook, to replace some of the privacy window film on 2 areas. One is the conference room in the main office, and one is the faculty dining area. The film, as specified throughout the project, is sort of like a half height where it kind of goes from opaque or this kind of blurry to clear at the top. But for the conference room and the faculty dining, the request was to have it be full height so it looks like this all the way up, just to ensure there's privacy, not just for the teachers, but also for in the conference room if there was a sensitive teacher or parent meeting, that no one from the hallway that's tall enough could kind of peer in and see who's in that meeting. So this would be to replace the glazing there, or not the glazing itself, but the film on the glazing. Because it's a replacement, it wouldn't be eligible, but the dollar value was not too egregious. And so they requested that this be put before the committee as a change.
Any
ATP
discussion?
one.
Anybody? Nope. Sorry, go ahead, Adam.
Oh, no. Next one, ATP 122 for 8554. If you recall, a while back, there was an approval for a construction change directive, CCD number 2, to provide additional bracing at the south canopy. I believe the not to exceed value was something like $20,000. I could pull it up, but the notion was that the team felt that there might be better pricing to track it just on a time and material basis rather than lump sum that was given. Turns out that was a very good idea. The actual final price with all the ads and costs for labor was 8554 versus the 20-some thousand authorized under the CCD. So this is just the cleanup change order now that that work is complete and all the tickets have been submitted. So no added contingency use besides what's already been allocated from that construction change directive. ATP 123, the amount of 3127. This was something that happened in conjunction with the fire marshal based on a code issue that was required for certificate of occupancy. Effectively, there was an issue with some sprinkler heads in a stairwell that were not sufficiently accessible per code, was the interpretation. So this 3127 was to lower them so that way they satisfied the code requirement based on the configuration of the stairwell.
Adam, just to interject on one, it wasn't heads, but it was the actual control assembly.
Control.
Yeah, over in stair 2. So Sam and the fire department just requested that we lower that below the grid so it was readily accessible for the fire department.
Thank you, Zach. Sorry, misspoke.
Yep, you're good.
ATP 124 and 125 are the last two under Gilbane's change orders. They're related, so I'll talk about them in tandem. 124 is for 10,000 and 125 is for 25,000. And these are not to exceed values that would, similarly to what we just talked about for the canopy, would be tracked on a time and material basis. ATP 124 was broken out separately because it was for the removal of a door in a corridor, which I'll show on the screen here. So this is the main office. You have the main entrance here, and then you have another entrance here off the south parking lot. So this set of double doors next to the main office swung in this direction to help provide some security control of the building. So that way, if you were to have, let's say, an after hours event or something to that effect, you could close these doors and the doors up here in the north corridor to prevent someone that's, at the media center or wherever, just wandering around and actually accessing classrooms where there wouldn't necessarily supposed to be. The problem is that the ability for those doors to close and prevent access also triggered an issue with egress. With I believe it was the nurse's office here was the key issue. So that was determined to be not code compliant in conjunction with the fire marshal. And it had gone through, third-party code reviews and all that. It was just one of these where they found it in the field and looked at it, and seeing it in person triggered the issue. So the ATP 124, which is being calculated now in terms of the time and materials, was to remove these doors and provide back the tile and kind of refinish the walls because it was not going to be code compliant. So that allowed us to move forward with what we were doing now with the certificate of occupancy.
They couldn't just swing the doors the other way?
If they swing the doors the other way, and Justin, you can jump in here also.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Adam, the issue is for security and what we consider compartmentalization in the event of a lockdown. So
Mhm.
the issue is actually the length of the dead end corridor. If somebody is going down that corridor, they wouldn't be able to egress in the direction of egress. So in a fully sprinkled education use group building, that the length of dead end corridor is 50 feet, which we are in excess of here. So if we swung them the other way, they work for code related egress, but do not work for what we consider the priority, which is student safety in the event of a lockdown. So the solution, the second
Oh, I
half,
see. Okay.
so the second half of this collection of ATPs is to rebuild that door assembly using the doors that were installed further down the corridor, so that we both meet the code requirement for being less than 50 feet of a dead end corridor and comply with the original intent of providing a secure learning community and compartment within the building for safety.
Okay, so you are relocating them.
Yes.
So I'll
Okay.
flash that on the screen now.
right.
Thank you. That's helpful.
So this
you just
was the
moved them
old
down.
location. This is to the new location. And so there's, in addition to just the doors and drywall, there's all the other various systems and components that are tied to that. Mag hold opens, the electrical that goes to it, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So we have coordinated this with the school and Dr. Cook. And the desire is to maintain that security functionality. So that's what the second 25,000 not to exceed change order ATP 25 is for. Is the first is for scraping, the second is for reinstalling with all the various components.
Got it.
All right, I will pause there. If there's any questions on those ATPs, and I can flash the motions on the screen before we move to the other procurement items.
So is this my role, my part? Do you want me to go into?
No, not yet. We'll go through
Okay.
Gilbane first.
Okay,
Yeah.
cue me up. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so let me here are the motions for the Gilbane ATPs.
Do you want me to read those?
If you wouldn't mind.
I don't mind. Motion to approve ATP 107 for the change to Gilbane's existing construction contract for a credit in the amount of $6,373 for returned IT equipment.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve ATP 121 for a change to Gilbane's existing construction contract in the amount of $3,327 for the revised glass privacy film at the conference room and the faculty dining room.
I'll
Do we have a second?
that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve ATP 122 for a change to Gilbane's existing construction contract in the amount of $8,554 for additional structural lateral bracing authorized under CCD2.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve ATP 123 for the change to Gilbane's existing construction contract in the amount of $3,127 for revised overhead sprinklers in Stair 2 per code coordination with the fire marshal.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve ATP 124 for a change to Gilbane's existing construction contract for an amount not to exceed $10,000 tracked on time and materials basis for the removal of non-code compliant double door in hallway M03.
Do we have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve ATP 125 for the change to Gilbane's existing construction contract for an amount not to exceed $25,000 tracked on a time and material basis for the reinstallation of the double door in hallway M03 for re-established security partitioning of the pre-K wing.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. There's one other item I'll bring up, and then I'll turn it over to Graham. The request of facilities, there was a quote for fire alarm monitoring services for the first year of the project through the town's vendor ITS in the amount of $564. Peter, I don't know if you have anything to add to this other than it's part of the sort of the typical 1 year project costs through the requested to be through the project versus just ongoing maintenance. Does that sum it up?
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
So I can flash that motion on the screen if that's unless there's any other questions as well.
Motion to approve the quote for fire alarm monitoring services through ITS for 1 year in the amount of $564.
Do we have a second?
That,
All in favor?
aye.
Right.
All right. The next one involves Colliers, so I will turn over to Graham. So I'm just not talking about myself.
Right. It's always awkward for consultants to talk about money when it involves
Yeah.
themselves. So I will do the talking on it. As you know, Colliers was retained on a hourly cost plus budget a year and a half ago before we even knew who Adam was. There was a budget estimate, of number of hours to do that work with not knowing all the bumps and things we'd encounter, which we didn't encounter that much actually, because Adam did such an exceptional job, as I think most would agree. There have been extra services that he's done effortlessly, which hurts his case for more money, but he makes it look so easy. But he's doing a lot of work in the background, including getting us an extra $5 million in reimbursement, which I think more than compensates for their increase. So I'm going to pull up a motion requesting an increase in his not to exceed to carry us through for probably the next year. As much as most people are thinking we're done, there's still going to be a lot of work that's going to take us through, as Adam mentioned, for the next year. So I would ask Adam to pull the screen and ask someone to make a motion. Hopefully, unless there's any discussion, does anyone any discussion on this motion? Potential
No,
motion?
just support.
Yeah, I think Adam's done an outstanding job and the whole
Absolutely.
Colliers team. Yeah, absolutely.
Got it. So I guess we'll have to argue who gets to make this motion. But Adam, if you could pull the motion up on the screen.
Thank you, everyone. There's a lot there. Sorry for whoever's reading it.
Yeah, and Sharon, since you've done all the other motions,
I'll keep going.
dibs.
And I like Adam, so that's fine. I don't have a problem. Motion to approve and increase Collier's existing contract in the amount of $130,000 under PO 20226743 and to authorize Colliers to utilize $12,076.90 in unused design phase allowance funds for construction phase services. The increase in fee is reflective of additional phases and services provided outside the typical scope of Collier's contract.
Do we have a second? Did you say a second, Woody? I think I did.
Yes, I did. Sorry.
Okay,
I'll second
great.
that.
Okay, got it. All in favor?
Aye.
Hopefully it's unanimous. I assume it is.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. Adam, we'll
Thank you,
return the agenda to you. I guess that's invoice item 6, invoices.
Yes, it's a fairly short invoice packet, but there was an item that was received and the invoice kind of was a little delayed, so we didn't want to hold it off any further. So just the one invoice this time for wireless access points that trickled in from Presidio, the IT vendor, for a total of $18.21 We'll still have the regular invoice packet with with the monthly updates at the end of the month here. But like I said, wanted to keep this moving through on a timely basis.
Got it. Pull up a motion.
Motion to approve invoice package dated 7/7/25, including an invoice from Presidio in the amount of $1,821.06.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
All right, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you, Adam. Moving on to number 7, public comment. Raquel, do we have any public?
No, we do not.
Got it. Moving on to item 8, remarks. Any remarks anyone would like to make?
Carry on to what a couple comments that Peggy gave. First, she said the building is very bright and happy. I'd like to share that. And the other thing that she was absolutely amazed with is when I demonstrated the silence of the classrooms by closing a door, she was astounded. It is absolutely incredible how quiet each classroom is once you shut the door.
That acoustic consultant earned his money this time, I guess. That's great. I'm glad I'm sure she was very happy with it, as most people will be when they see the building.
Absolutely.
Okay, hearing no further remarks, would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mike, all in favor?
Simple.
Aye.
I
Adjourned.